Hey everyone. Okay, so looks like we held the 5859 spot. That's kind of like midpoints between 4-4 and beneath 6-6. 5-8's kind of like a mid-core range. That's just about 34, 35 points from today's open. The condition with holding 5-8 here is they have to immediately try pushing back over 6-6, 6-8, 7-1. So far they're stalling the 7-1 range. I wanted to see if they'd retrace back 7-4 area to 7-8 during this mid point here of imbalance prints. And we'll see if we can get back into the zone before 350. Okay. I think they can if they get it back over 8-1, 8-3 during this period. Then I feel like we'd have pretty decent odds of getting back to a core area or back into the zone by 350. What do you guys think? We did open in the zone today, so there's pretty decent odds they can get it back to the zone. This stall here too at 230 and this breakdown and failure to retrace back into the zone was a good short. So let's see if they can get some range up on these session breaks here. Did any of you guys try longing 5-8, 5-9? I tried to jump on as quick as I could, but there's a lot of confluence around this area here. And it's also a potential means to means type trade from the 50s to the 50s. This is also 34, 35 point break from today's session open for real time. And when I went back and looked at this, like basically a 33, 34 point hold here just takes it right back into the zone. Do you see this? 44 points from here is like right back at 6,900. So we'll see if they can have enough range to take out the 7-4. 7-4 is definitely the overhead here. Some individual names selling off a little bit. Apple's stalling this area still here before earnings. Keep in mind, we're still in a very, very, very tough spot for markets with still some risk below, especially ahead of some of these reports today. We'll see if they can retract this in the next 2 minutes. Oh. Oh, this is exactly 17 points, guys, off lows. That's interesting. This was 13-point break. This isn't an easy session at all, so just be careful. Yeah, stalling 6906 puts us at risk. We already talked about that earlier. But it's more so of coming back beneath this 8883. I think losing 82 is what put us at bigger risk this afternoon. And we still have some risk below to the channel, but we'll see if they can try retracting some of this, at least before earnings. Well, these are two-directional type moves. This is definitely a two-directional type session, which leaned a little bit more bearish after stalling neutral spots, but anytime you stall the means, like the 50s or 60s, it usually implies volatility. Oh, God, I'm so tired. This is probably one of the most longest sessions I've traded in so long. No, I didn't. And it was such a good short. And I liked it as a short trade. It was a decent long in the afternoon, but off here, but I didn't get the entry. I didn't want to chase it. Nice, Katie. It actually held up pretty good. A lot of the mega cap names are actually holding up decent. It's just ES that isn't. But it's because ES, they saved the risk until today, right? Like they saved it all week beneath 8-8 to 6-6 to 5-8 to 4-4, especially after stalling 50s. I just want to see if ES tries to hold the line here and then tries getting a retracement back. During the final 15. Otherwise, if they, because I feel like if they don't hold the line, especially at this point in time with the final 15, they could be in a lot of trouble. It's way better if they hold 5-8 and try getting back over 7-4, 7-6, 7-7, but All right, we're approaching 350, guys. We'll see if they can get it back over 66, 68. 71, 74 is kind of the overhead here. My thoughts into the close were if they can try holding the line closer to 52, 55, 58, they have a slight odd of getting it back to that 83 range, but anything beneath this can still keep that channel at risk closer to 68, 38, 68, 44. So much of this is going to depend on what they do in the next 2 to 5 minutes. I'm going to start setting some alerts because I think this is going to be a bit of a volatile close. Yeah, because I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know if they'll take it to the channel before report. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're saving room on both sides. Because, like, this is the downside risk. But this is where we have to get back on upside. So it's like, I feel like they're leaving the same amount of risk on both ends. Does that make sense? This is like a... I wouldn't call it a neutralized area, but it's... The means always implies volatility, right? Anytime you're in these areas here, beneath this line, above the channel implies volatility. So we'll see. I thought that they could at least try getting it back to 7.4 or 7.8 into the close, but I didn't really like them taking it beneath 5.2 or 5.4, 5.8, sorry. So we'll see. I feel like if at the least they keep it beneath 6.6. Thanks. Yeah, Meta looked good for a retracement this morning since it was the one that had the least momentum yesterday. Apple kind of stalling 272.29. This is the spot for Apple, so we'll have to see if they can get some range. 5.4, 5.5 sticks are going to be what gives an idea of directional breaks into the close on this. Seems like they want to pin core areas into the close. Pinning core areas is way better than pinning the means, though. Pinning the means is going to really increase volatility. That means anything beneath 6.6. What do you guys think? You think they snap this down to the channel, or you think they try giving a last minute stick to save some of the range? Like, we haven't consolidated this area yet, which is bad. You always have to come back and consolidate at some point. So what if it's not today, they're going to do it eventually. Or you think they're just going to ignore it for now due to earnings and try bringing some range back like this? No, they won't do that. It's not that you don't want downside, you don't want too much downside before an earnings release. Does that make sense? Because then you'd be at risk of much more downside. It's kind of relative to how much risk you could afford. I would rather them save this range for after the bell. Okay. Just so that it doesn't fully increase our risk, because we don't really want to go too much lower than like this area here. If they brought it down. You can't see them beating? Well, they didn't really trade that great into the close, so I don't know. Thank you. Okay, we're getting the move, guys, after the bell like I thought we would. At least to this 7-8. Do you see it? 7-4, 7-8 being tested here. I feel like at the very least they'd have to test 7-4, 7-8. 8-3 is kind of the bigger area if it breaks. A lot of this is going to be relative, obviously, to Amazon. Amazon testing the areas that we talked about. 242, 244, 47. These were the targets I was talking about for Amazon. Anyone trade it? Hit the exact spots. We'll see if it can clear here. Clearing 244 is kind of what gives it the bigger move. Amazon getting a really nice break. Nice. Amazon testing our ranges here after the bell. Breaks of 244.47 can give it odds of testing that 247.87 mark. This is what could cause this one to have a lot more room for upside. These are kind of the ranges that we figured they could get. If they end up clearing it above 47, this is when we'll have odds of getting like a full clearance break, probably closer to like 252, 253. I don't think that they'll do that immediately right now. I think they could stall this 247.48 area, but Amazon definitely hit the ranges we were looking for. Apple stalled 272.29, so that one's a little bit stuck. Apple is usually a little bit later anyway, so it could just be delayed. ES retesting 7.4 here. 7.4, 7.8 were the overheads we talked about before the bell. These were the spots that it basically have to break in order to have an odd of retesting or resetting that 60, 68, 88. $247.87 being tested. We'll see if Amazon clears here. This is the first 5 minutes, so first 5 minutes are very important. Yeah, so Apple could be a little bit delayed. I'm not going to stick around. I do have to go. But I just wanted to see if they try taking out at least these ranges here on the index. We already know that there's still that risk below, but they might just wait for Apple to report. I think Amazon holding strength, though, is good. Amazon looks like it's going to be right at the spot here. If it clears it, usually the first 5 minutes can help determine that. Then, like I said, you could look for like that 252, 53 range. I think our... You guys watched when we calculated Amazon, right? Pretty crazy that these are the exact spots that it hit. That's actually insane. Whoever was asking about that. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, guys. We'll see if ES can get some range breaks above 7.8. 7.8, 7.9 were the areas we talked about earlier. Those areas are correlated with the neutral spots. So those areas retracing or retracting give odds of, I don't think they give odds of retesting or clearing 17, but they give odds of at least coming back to intraday highs around that 12, 13 spot. Do you see what I'm saying? If they're able to clear here. So far this stall right here is implying there's still some blockage around 69.12 if Apple is strong enough to get it there. Okay, so off the actual lows, of, so they held the means. They never took it back to the channel. They held 68.51. Off the actual lows, they've already broken 26 points. Usually if they want to break 33, 34 points, they'd come back over 8384. So there's definitely a lot of overhead right here. A 44 point break takes it back pretty close to opening range, around 93, 94, 95. And since we are working with kind of core ranges, they're mostly like 55 to 56 point intervals. A full 66 point break is actually, wow, you guys, a 66 point break is that 69.17 off these lows. That is insane. So that area is still calculated. That's pretty wild. Huh. So in the event that they were to ever take this back, we could be capped at channel areas this week. 60, maybe like 69.38, 69.36, 69.33. So basically our risk right now is channel to channel, because they stalled mean to means. Means to means is the 68.50s, 69.50s. Stalling 69.50s, implied volatility. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Today was definitely a little bit of a harder session. I think just because it took a lot of patience and a lot of back and forth, and things weren't really as fast, even on the move down. But it was mostly because a lot of the ranges were already done for the week or recycled. And usually when you stay zone bound, especially when you still had all that risk left beneath 6.6, we still have some risk left on the week closer to this area here. So far they held the channel. I don't know if you guys saw that. They really tried to hold above 49 and 50. So if they're trying to avoid taking it back to this channel, it could mean because they might want to take it back to nest in the channel end of week. Nesting in the channel end of week is going to be our best case scenario if they can actually hold the line here, in either case. But at the very least, it would be nice if they can get us back to the zone, get us back to this area in here for Friday's close. We'll have to see what Apple ends up doing.